So this month has been busy. I've got a potential job opportunity going over my credentials and interview notes to decide what to do next. They use C++ and the Unreal Engine, so I've been refreshing myself in these areas. Once I feel more comfortable with them, and that I can carve out a suitable niche, I'll probably make tutorials for these as well. Anyway, because of this, I didn't do much for Mod Spire, but let's go over what I did. Instead of doing this chronologically, I'm going to do an overview of the changes made to the project. This is where the "this is not a tutorial series" bit comes into play. I'll have a time-lapse of what I did going on in the background, but I won't be giving a whole lot of specific direction. The first thing you should do if you're following along is to do some reorganization. I eventually created a test mod package to better mimic the design layout of the default example package. This led to a build issue where the refactor changed my POM file's final name from testmod to testmod.testmod. After correcting this, the changes I made last month allowed Maven to copy and build the file to my mods folder for me. Next, get the entire utility package located in the default project. It contains enumerators to help later on, and a texture loader class to handle loading the images for your mod. Make sure to refactor these files to be in your project.util instead of the default.util. Since we have a texture loader, we should probably get some resources. I grabbed several PNGs and the id check strings don't edit at all.json from the top of the resource directory tree. The images were badge.png, relics placeholder relic.png, and relics outlines placeholder relic.png. I added them to my project following the same structure. In addition to these images, I also added the needed localizations directory with the English option as another directory. This was where my early problems came from and may still be a source of problems. Instead of storing card text in the class itself, basemod loads the text from the appropriate files in the languages folder. In this case, ENG is English. Using this method allows someone to add translations to the mod by simply adding more text files to the jar archive. Right now, I've only created testmod-relic-strings.json in my project. I may need more to fix my current errors, but I'll check that later. I've made a lot of additions and a couple of changes to my main testmod class. The class now implements edit relic subscriber and post initializer subscriber in addition to what it did before. The latter adds the method receive post initialize, which the default uses to set up settings in the mod badge. The default does some other things here too, but those are the parts I care about. I've added additional member variables, including string mod ID, string mod name, string author, and string description. These are self-explanatory. The variables properties test mod default settings, string enable placeholder settings, and bool enable placeholder are used to set up an options menu for the mod in case you want to include scaling difficulty, the ability to turn overpowered relics off, or change the base price of cards. The default's basic settings option is a toggle to show how the settings system works. We'll see what we can do with it in the future. I've also included the string badge image, which contains the file path to the previously saved badge.png. I believe the badge is the icon shown in the mods option on the main menu, but I'm not positive. Lastly, I've included a logger called logger. My lack of Java knowledge started to show here, as I didn't know if this was a custom class for the default, a part of the base mod library, or a general Java thing. It was after running into a couple of these that I found a wonderful IntelliJ feature that will detect what class you're probably referring to and offer to import it for you. This is accessed by selecting the class name and pressing Alt-Shift-Enter. I think I needed to reorganize my import section once or twice, but this meant I didn't need to look things up manually, saving me a couple hours of research. The logger, as far as we care, is a wrapper so we're not typing system.out.println every time we want to print to the console. But it likely has features to write to multiple outputs at once, or other quality of life features. Once I had all these member variables in place, I could implement some additional methods to use them. These included receiveEditString, receivePostInitialize, makeRelicPath, makeRelicOutlinePath, and makeID. These were copied wholesale from the default and then refactored to fit my project. There were an additional 3 methods in the section labeled Do Not Edit in full caps that I copied as well: setModID, getModID, and PathCheck. I cleared out the numerous comments telling me not to change anything, and then changed the package name from the default to testmod. According to these Do Not Edit comments, one of the original contributors is going to go out of their way to downvote my mod because I edited that section. I changed the existing methods as well to incorporate the new desired functionality. In the constructor, I set the mod ID and copied a try-catch block from the default to set up the mod settings. In receiveEditRelics, I added basemod.addRelic to custom pool with the parameters newTestRelic and abstractCard.cardColor.colorless. This was, of course, after I created the testRelic class. The testRelic is just the placeholder relic from the default, but renamed and refactored to fit my project. With all this done, we should now be able to package our mod and play with the testRelic. Oh, that's a lot of errors. Looks like I didn't include an image. Well, I'm running out of month, so I'll debug this later. I have little doubt that I missed something in this summary, which some of you might call me out on. Also, the order of actions listed is not how I approached this project. It was closer to the reverse. I copied the placeholder relic first, then looked to see what I was missing. For the most part, everything else I did was in response to that attempt to make all of the errors go away. Hardly impressive, but I now know a little more about how Java projects are structured. In addition, while most of the things I added could just be copy and pastes from the default, I typed most of it out by hand to ensure I knew why I was adding the code. I have little doubt that my final main class will look similar to the default by the end, but by copying only what I need, I know better what each piece does. Even with as little as I have, it's important to document everything as I go and keep everything organized. I didn't do that at all points here, and I've already paid for it and lost time. Well, that's 1 month gone and not a lot of progress made. Like I said earlier, this was due in large part to a job opportunity asking that I refresh myself in another aspect of programming. But that should be resolved soon. Now that I know how I'm doing these episodes, I might be able to do 2 a month once my life calms down, but for now look for the next entry in my modding diary on the 1st of April.